one abandoned resort, two kids with walkie-talkies, and a mystery we still can't explain. When my friend Jackson and I explored those derelict bungalows, we never expected to find red footprints in the bathroom or hear a walkie-talkie beep from inside when no one was there. This happened about 15 years ago when I was just a kid. I was with my best friend Jackson at this abandoned family resort or bungalow colony type place in New York. It was off a main road, then down this private dirt path driveway entrance. It was a pretty big property with a bunch of old abandoned buildings, including at least 10 small bungalows, a main hall, a few bathroom stations, and an indoor pool house. There was also an outdoor pool, a shuffleboard area, and a kids' playground. Everything was old, run down and covered with tall, overgrown grass. We found this place by accident one time, while walking down Route 209. But we didn't explore it that day. We came back another night. By the time we got there, the sun was already setting. The sky was turning dark. It was getting really hard to see, but we didn't want to come during the day. We were scared of getting caught and charged with trespassing. We brought walkie-talkies and flashlights with us, so we could communicate if we split up. We started looking around the bungalows together. Most of them looked the same and were pretty small. 1 or 2 beds each, a tiny kitchen and 1 bathroom each. Some had these little living room areas. About halfway through checking them out, I split off from Jackson because he was moving kind of slow. I tried to get into the building. That looked like the main hall, or maybe an office or something. But every door was locked. I tried to radio Jackson to tell him the big building was locked. He didn't answer. I wondered if I was out of range. A couple minutes later, I ended up at one of the 2 bathroom buildings. It was probably around 400 square feet. There were no doors on the building though, which was weird. Just 2 big openings. One for the men's room, one for the women's room. I remember the signs were faded and worn out. Then I noticed these red tracks on the dirty old concrete bathroom floor. I'm not gonna sit here and say they looked like bloody footprints, but I couldn't explain what those red marks were back then, and I still can't say for sure now. Anyway, it was pitch black inside that bathroom, around that corner, and that was the first building I was too scared to go into. I tried radioing Jackson again, hoping he was in range this time. I pressed the button on the walkie and said, "Yo, where are you?" When I let go, I heard the beep sound that the receiving walkie makes after getting a message, and it came from inside the bathroom. It almost gave me a heart attack. Then I thought Jackson must already be in there. Maybe that's what the red footsteps were. I called his name, and it echoed inside the bathroom. I was actually about to step inside, thinking he was hiding from me, pranking me, when I heard Jackson's voice call out from the distance behind me. Outside, in the darkness of the night, I heard him getting closer. Couldn't see him in the dark, but he obviously saw my flashlight. So I yelled back, "I found your walkie-talkie." I started stepping into the bathroom, but then he said back, "Don't go in there." I never went in there. That's when I turned around and hurried right out of there. I pressed and released the talk button really quick on my walkie, causing the beep again. From inside that pitch-black women's room, Jackson and I looked at each other for half a second, then began running like crazy in the direction we came. We made it back to Route 209 and had to stop to catch our breaths. That's when Jackson told me that inside one of the bungalows he went into, he tried radioing me, but I wasn't answering, meaning we must have been out of range. But then he heard a noise from the living area of the bungalow. When he turned around, his flashlight showed an older woman almost running toward him. He dropped his walkie-talkie and flashlight and ran out of the bungalow. He ran in the dark and hid, trying not to make noise, scared he was being followed. He hid for what felt like forever, before looking around and seeing my flashlight. Across the field, over by the bathrooms, the most likely explanation to me was that some cracked-out drug addict was hiding or living in that abandoned bungalow, and for whatever reason, lunged at Jackson and picked up his walkie-talkie. What she was doing in that bathroom, who knows? Maybe drugs, maybe the bathroom in the bungalow didn't work. But what I don't know is why. There was a trail of what looked like blood in there. Those are my theories, but I can't explain all of it away. And that's the scariest part. 3 times that voice called my name from an empty house. My little brother Reese was supposed to be at swim practice, yet I clearly heard him singing Quinny. Quinny. Come up from the dark second floor. When my dad's car finally pulled in, I collapsed in tears, realizing no one should have been home at all. This story takes place when I was a junior in high school. For context, here's a little background information. Back then, I was a pretty involved student, took all the hard classes, and was in a few varsity sports. In a lot of ways, I was always busy and didn't have much time for myself. And part of me was thankful for that. It provided me an escape from a world where my parents had recently split up, and my older brother had just left for college. It was just me and my little brother then. He was also a swimmer and a smart kid in his own right. We were really similar, even to this day, but probably because of the stress our family situation put on us at the time. We didn't get along at all. One of those wet winter days in the Midwest. I'd put in my time at school and swim practice, and I still had to sit down for several hours of homework. This time, I had to write an essay for some advanced class that I wasn't really interested in. I dropped my swim bag at the door when I got home and looked around my house to see if anyone was home. Empty. Dad must be out with the rest of swim practice. His club team had the slot at the pool. After the high school team was done, I popped in a mouthful of cheesies and headed down to the basement, to my office to get some school work done. The house was a middle-class 2-story with an unfinished basement, with the exception of what I referred to as my office. From a career in the past, my dad used to work from home, but no longer did. I was the only one who used this place. So my family, or what was left of it, just called it Quinn's office. So I made my way across the concrete floors and unattached carpet samples down there to the one finished room in the basement. I flicked on the CFL light. It was like any other night after practice. I still had hours of homework to do. So I turned on the computer and started typing away. I was typing for what seemed like an hour, trying to put into words what the concept of hedonism and the picture of Dorian Gray meant to me as best I could, or as convincingly as I could. Out of the dark, I heard my little brother call out to me, "Quinny, Quinny, come up." Almost reflexively, I called back to him, "Reese, I'm working. What do you need?" We would yell through the house like brothers do. But it took me a minute to realize I didn't hear him come home. I got no response, only for a couple minutes though. Again, I heard my little brother's voice sing out, "Quinny, Quinny, come up." It felt strange, hearing those words carry across the dark concrete floor. He's supposed to be at swim practice. I called back out to him, asking if he needed anything. But again, I received no answer. I thought about just starting my essay again, but the family situation was delicate at best, and I didn't want to be in trouble. If my little brother actually needed something, I made the decision to get up and go find out for myself. I bounded up the basement staircase, the only way a high schooler can. And I called out again for my brother. "Reese, what's up? I'm really busy." I checked all around the main floor, looking for my little brother, or even signs he was home. No shoes, no backpack. So he wasn't home. And there was no car in the driveway either. The only reason my dad would be gone right now would be to pick him up. Satisfied, I turned back for the stairs when I heard my little brother's voice ring out, "Quinny, Quinny, come up." This time, every hair on my body stood on end. It just didn't make sense. He had to be at practice, and if he really needed me, he would have come to me. I went to the base of the second floor stairs and called out to him one more time, "Reese, what's going on? Are you okay for a minute?" No answer. "Reese, I'm really busy. Can you tell me what's up?" It's quiet for way too long. As I stared up the dark staircase logically, I had no reason to believe anyone was up there, until I heard Reese's voice calmly speak this time, and not call out in his sing-song way. Those same 4 words. "Quinny, Quinny, come up." What I asked under my breath. I couldn't comprehend the situation. I did a quick inventory of any probable scenario. break and wrong voice. A prank. I would have seen something at this point. It had to be Reese. Maybe helping him would make me a good brother. So I began up the stairs. My heart pounded with each step. And I was about to make the landing to the dark second floor. Then I heard the buzz of the garage door motor. I ran back down the stairs and looked out the window. It was my father's sedan, and him and my little brother got out. I stumbled from the window to the hall, where they would enter, and I felt my heart almost stop beating. I collapsed on the floor and just started to cry, uncontrollably. One midnight squawk from my dad's parrot saved my life. At 11 p.m. when Kevin started acting strange, I thought he was just being difficult. Then I found a homeless man hiding in my pantry who'd already ransacked my food and was waiting for me to fall asleep. When my dad was around 50, he got an African gray parrot. He had always loved parrots his whole life, so I was happy for him to finally get one after retiring. He named the bird Kevin. My dad taught Kevin a whole vocabulary of words, and he actually trained him to understand the meaning behind certain words. Like hello, what's up, food, thank you, good, and a few others. My dad passed away at 70, and that's when my siblings and I had to figure out what would happen to Kevin. My brother and sister didn't want the responsibility of taking Kevin into their homes. Plus, their spouses were against it too. But I couldn't bear the idea of giving him away to a new owner. Kevin was, and still is, one of my last connections to my dad. In a way, he was his best friend. So I decided to bring him into my home. I placed his cage in the den of my house. My house doesn't have a basement, so the den is considered the lowest level. Kevin is a moderately noisy bird. He can be a chatterbox during some parts of the day, usually earlier on, but later in the day and at night, he quiets down. When he gets too loud, I throw a blanket over his cage, and that usually calms him. I watch TV in the den at night to keep him company. Then, around 10 p.m., I move to my room to let him sleep. That's pretty much the backstory behind Kevin. I've been taking care of him for 2 years now, so I know exactly how he normally behaves and when he's acting out of the ordinary. Speaking of out of the ordinary, one night in December, around 11 p.m., Kevin started making noises while I was trying to sleep. I sleep with my door open since I live alone and need to hear if anything's happening in the house. Hearing him squawking after dark, especially that late, was undeniably unusual. Something was clearly bothering him. I went down to the den to see what was wrong. He was wide awake, perched on the lower of the 2 bars in his cage. He looked at me and said things like hello, what's up, and his own name, all while nodding his head up and down, moving his whole body, almost like he was dancing. I tried to feed him, but he wouldn't eat. So I covered him with the blanket, hoping he'd settle down. I was in the kitchen when I paused because he was still making noise. I had a feeling he wasn't going to stop. With work the next day, I couldn't afford to lose sleep because of him. I really didn't know what to do. I'm still not bird expert, even now. I went back downstairs and uncovered him. He was still doing his little dance, bobbing his head and body, making those distressed sounds. It didn't click until I thought I heard something in the pantry closet, a few feet from his cage. I walked over to it and hovered my hand over the light switch outside the pantry door. The door has one of those big glass panels like many pantries do. When I flicked the light on, I saw the outline of a person inside. My fight or flight response kicked in, and I chose fight. I swung the door open, yelling to pump myself with adrenaline. I grabbed the man inside the pantry, dragged him out, and threw him to the floor. He tried to fight back, but I easily overpowered him and put him in what I can best describe as a chokehold. He was a homeless-looking man in his 50s, with a smell to match. I yelled, "Who are you? Why are you in my house?" He tried to grab my face, maybe to gouge my eyes or something. But I kept wringing his neck and punching him. Through all this, Kevin was going berserk in his cage. When the man on the floor seemed weak enough, I sprinted to the nearest phone, came right back, kept him pinned down, and called 911. The man was taken to jail, but he had nothing on him. No ID, nothing. He was homeless and had nothing to his name, As such, he was what some people call judgment-proof, meaning even if I sued him, I wouldn't get anything from him. That night, he had raided my pantry, opened jars of peanut butter, boxes of cookies and crackers, and all sorts of canned and boxed foods, if it weren't for my dad's parrot. I don't know what else that man might have taken or done in my house. I'm grateful for Kevin, and I like to think a part of my dad is watching over me through that bird.